Hey guys, I thought I'd maybe film this repair of my air reel. The hose you see there, the blue one, is water. This is in the main part of my shop. The air reel has been leaking and I had to shut it off. So I repaired it some years ago and pulled the reel out and going to attempt to repair again on it. This hose reel is a Stewart Warner Alemite, and it came out of a Dodge dealership. It was probably built, the dealership was probably built in 1945, somewhere around there. And I ended up with the hose reels when they tore the dealership down somewhere in the 80s, I guess. So they're quite old, and here's the hose reel on the workbench. This is the air fitting that's leaking. You can see where it's been blowing. I got a hold of Alemite, and when I told him it was a Stewart Warner Alemite, he said that's too old and doesn't matter what part numbers you have. We don't have anything for that unit. So I'm going to take it apart. This is the back side of the unit. I started taking it apart. I'll bring you back after I get some of the initial surgery done. You don't have to watch me undoing bolts and screws. But I got to salvage this reel. All right, be back with you. Just dawned on me, if you can see here, I don't know how good the light is, but there's a brass nut that goes into the fitting here. This part swivels, and this is where the issue is. And I've taken this apart before, but damn if I couldn't get that broke apart while the reel was still up in the air. That's why it's down here on the deck, and we're gonna go for see if we can break that loose, which I don't think so. Then we'll start surgery instead. Well, here's a little update. As you can see, I've taken it somewhat apart. This fitting right here slides through and comes out the other side here. And let's see if the camera will focus, but you can see that putting a wrench on those, there's a flat. There's two flats there to put a wrench on, and there's just not enough surface area for the wrench to bite on, so I was actually starting to damage the threads there. That's why I ended up taking it apart. And my goal is to get that brass fitting out of that piece right there. And it's in there. I've had the cheater pipes on it, and I'm an old man. I just don't have the gumption anymore, I guess. So thinking of chucking this puppy up in the 3-jaw chuck on the lathe and locking the head and seeing if that'll give me a good bite. So that's the next try. All I can do is damage it, I guess. Be back with you. Well, I got the fitting out. It took the old torch wrench to do it, as you can see, but I got it hot enough so that it broke free. And you can see there's a pin, there's a cross pin in it that holds the fitting in. So the O-ring's smoked for sure, but looks like it has a chance to get fixed. So continue on taking it apart. Ended up putting it in the vise between a couple of V-blocks to secure it. I had tried it in both in the lathe and the mill, and I couldn't get it to move without putting a good amount of heat on it. Okay, we'll be back, and hopefully this part's going to be salvageable. So here's a look at the inside of that bore. So I'm going to see if I can clean that up. Little Dremel tool with a wire brush on it. We'll give it a shot. Well, the Dremel cleaned it up nice. I'm going to see if I can do anything with cleaning the threads up a little bit, just from the rust and corrosion. But I got a buddy that thinks the Dremel tools are just a joke, but I bought a couple of them, really inexpensive, the extension shaft, and they've come in handy. It's, you know, like typical tools. When you need them and they work, they're the best thing you got. Anyway, back with just another little update. So here's all the parts at this point: the roll pin, the washer, and this guy sits in there, and so the O-ring is on the inside of this. And just so you know, somebody didn't change channels on you. This isn't Blue Hand Video. If you haven't been to Blue Hand's video or Blue Hand's channel, go visit Mike. He's does some really neat stuff. Does a lot of brake kits and a lot of machining. Anyway, so pretty sure that's where the O-ring rides, of course. And my memory is that this top piece, you can see there's like a seam there. I think they come apart, but I'm not going to try to fight it too much. I think I'm just going to try to go inside there with the Dremel and clean it up so that the O-ring will sit back in there. Started to think about this, and the fool, which is me, that worked on this X years back, of course didn't put any anti-seize, never seize on this. Would have been a lot easier to take apart. Of course, I never thought that I would be doing this again. But I think I will put some never seize on it this time. Okay, and if anybody was wondering what this white stuff's on my vice jaws, that's what I used. I used that just to put the aluminum jaws in there real quick. Some double stick tape. Okay, just too lazy to clean it off at the moment. Be back to you shortly. Well, I got it cleaned. It's cleaned up. The O-ring is basically right here within the body of this fitting here, and of course that's where it spins. But now I can see why the O-ring gave up its life. You can just see the corrosion there from the moisture in the air, and that's where the O-ring actually rides. So I got to see if I can locate another swivel that I can change out. I don't think this is worth repairing, or I got to come up with a little miracle method to fix it. That could be a possibility too. So we'll do a little checking. It's actually Christmas Day today, and out here playing in the shop, and so there's no chase in it today. Although I can go on McMaster-Carr, see what I can find there. All right, hope everybody's having a happy holiday. Be back to you shortly. Just a real quick on the Dremel tool. I picked up this kit. It was a garage sale. Ended up with all the different accessories and stuff, and there's more accessories up here in the lid. Both 2 variable speed Dremel tools, and the flex extension that you can actually hang the Dremel tool up in the air on that and use the flex wand. I think I got the whole thing for 20 bucks. Heck of a buy, and the tool's been really useful for me. Been happy with it. Okay, thought I'd just throw that in. And it stores away real nice. Well, here's the parts, or the part that's failed, and hopefully this will stay in focus. But you can see all the corrosion that's occurred on this from just the moisture in the air wheel. And this is the where the O-ring sits in here. This piece captures the O-ring inside there, and of course then it comes through, and then the roll pin locks the assembly together so it can spin. So the question that posed to myself was, how do I repair this? Can I go buy a replacement part, which I can't. So my first thought was try to go a la Keith Fenner and clean this up and braze it and then return it on the lathe, so I just have a new shaft and not have to deal with it. I talked to Tom Lipton over at Ox Tool about it. His comment was, well, why not just build a whole new part? And of course, he's a machinist and he thinks like a machinist. And said, duh, that's an idea. So that's a possible fix. I told him that I had my heart set on brazing this, and he said, cool. He goes, I like watching fail videos. It's one of my fetishes, so go for it. You always can build it. So I may still do it, make his day. It also looks like it's, I don't know if this is showing up or not, but it looks like this part is silver soldered. The nipple's silver soldered in. So it may be just a situation of heating it up, pulling this nipple out, make a new nipple, and silver solder it back in. So I'm going to explore that also. Just because I'm a hack, excuse me, as I hack, I went into my fittings drawer, found a steel fitting, turned it down, and basically produced the same item there. This distance, once it's pulled in, really won't matter because it's within the cover of the hose reel, and then basically made the same length nipple so that it would do the same thing and slide on and produce the same thing and just shorten that. So that's another fix. I may do it as a quickie so I can just get my hose reel back up and then go take it back apart. I don't know. So to further on this discussion, my machinist buddy Chewy, that is my mentor, I showed it to him the other day, and he had another way. He said, turn it down and make a sleeve. Press the sleeve on, and then turn it to be the right diameter. Another method of fix. So I thought I'd throw these out. This will be a two-part video, and I'm going to call it quits here. And anybody else has suggestions, it'll be interesting. So you can see this fitting here is radiused, and then it's also has chamfers, or yeah, I guess you call those chamfers, or radius is down off of the face too. And it's the way that I guess they designed this is that in one dimension you can get a wrench on the nut, on the fitting nut here, and then when it's this direction, you really can't, because I remember when I was taking it apart, one way you could get a wrench on it, one way you couldn't. And as you can see, the brass nut has been boogered up some, and of course has been in my vise. Okay, so be back to you. If you guys got suggestions, I'm open to hear it in the comments. Be interesting, and I'll be back to you. Just one final item before I close this. Since I'm learning CAD, I decided to go ahead and draw this part, the original part, in CAD if I was going to reproduce it. Careful, I'm told, to invert your eyes. It may hurt your eyes. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. But anyway, so I drew a front view with the center and the bore, right and left views, and then a bottom view. So it really did it, one, just for fun to, again, try to progress on my understanding and use of CAD. Cool part about it is, of course, I could pick up this radius point and teach me, I wouldn't be able to know what that radius is, but by doing using the CAD and setting up circles, I could figure out the radiuses and stuff like that, and some of the dimensions. So anyway, I thought I'd just throw that in. Having fun learning CAD and making it a useful tool.